Morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday, the 24th of November. Firstly, review the news events coming out today. Japan has got a bank holiday. There's the German IFO business climate there at 9 a.m. And then we've got Lagarde speaking later at 2:50. 2:50, she's speaking about AI, so it's an AI led conversation. The business climate rarely moves the market too much, or the euro too much, I should say, there. So a relatively quiet day on the news front. I should just bring that back and just discuss what I was looking at earlier on here. I was looking at the Fed percentage or potential of a cut in percentage terms. It's now gone back up to 71% here. It's been all over the shop here now. Previously we were seeing a sell-off in the US dollar when we were seeing these expectations of a cut, but looking at the market at the moment, it's a bit in limbo. But just last week the expectation of a cut dropped down. Well, it dropped down below 42%. I'm sure at one stage it was about 30 odd, but there you go, 42% as this period last week, back up to 71%. A month ago it's 91%, so it's going back up there. Now, when that was a month ago, when that was happening, we were seeing the markets moving more positively to the upside for the likes of the euro dollar, but it doesn't appear to be the case at the moment. But looking at this chart here, I've got this this green line here is a major pivotal line. It's where we see lots of tops, bottoms, and the market from months, years back, and the market seems to swing around it quite frequently where it's near it. We've seen the test already at the beginning of November. We're not far off it at the moment, so we well worth watching out here. Now there is some divergence off the 4-hourly picture here. For that to trigger, it would need to break the high between the two lows. On the lower time frame, it still looks quite weak this morning at the moment, but trader beware. We so often see things coming in at sort of 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and it just turns round very quickly in the opposite direction. There's an 8 o'clock bar where it's just, you can go back and look at 7 and 8 o'clock bars, and it frequently happens. So as much as this looks nice and bearish at the moment, it's worth waiting at least 15 minutes past the hour before taking this. But it does look, as I say, certainly does look bearish, but got major support sitting around it. Right, the pound. We're below all its major support and resistance here by the looks of things now. It's really drifted off 4-hourly. It's into its weekly pivot there, looking soft as well. We got, is it this week? Yeah, it's got to be this week. We've got the budget, which we've seen so many different things skip through it. That could have quite an ugly impact on it at some stage. It looks pretty ugly at the moment, that's for sure. A break below the pivot would be sort of more key for me this morning. If I was looking at the short side of things, it did come off quite nicely in the end on Friday. It got back to its prior lows that I was looking for, but soon shot up afterwards. And this is what we're seeing with some of the data at the moment. The afternoons seem to completely contradict the mornings. Dollar yen then, so the yen, the dollar was coming off on Friday, but it's still in this very strong upward trend here. It's just really how much more we see of the yen weakening before it stalls and turns back again, really. There's a lot in the pot regarding bonds, etc. But the bond market's closed today because of the news in Japan, so that impact's not showing. But terms of dollar strength, well, we've just given ourselves a little higher low here again. As with the euro looking weak and the pound looking weak, this looks strong at the moment, potentially stronger. With what it's done, it's a structural change basically there, but it is below that 50 EMA, so you have to trade a bit carefully. Aussie dollar, again, another one finding support, this time into its yearly pivot here on the Australian dollar, and caught quite a bounce from that in the end on Friday. It is coming to the underside of its weekly pivot. We could get a reaction to that, get a bit of a squeeze between the two. It's a horrible choppy price action on Friday there. Still very much into a downtrend here at this stage. It's trying its best to put higher lows in. Maybe it will continue to do so. But for now, sitting aside on most of these markets so far. US dollar CAD has been weakening towards the end of last week again. A bit strange after that sort of strong start to the week last week. We saw the CAD strengthen quite solidly, but giving it all back again, and it's not too far away from these other highs here at some stage. At the moment, it still looks like it's got potential to push up. Ugly market on Friday again, as were most of them. For those that are just joining me this today, there's a lot of times recently where personally, I've just not taken a trade in the morning and looked elsewhere. So, Canadian dollar maybe back above its pivot there would look positive and more positive for further upside up into that R1 potentially. It has the price highs up there, so may stall there anyway. Other markets, not really. I'm going to look through the cross pairs post 8 o'clock, see if there's anything going there. For now, though, it's just for the update on here. Let's just look at gold. So gold tightening up here even further. It's into quite a mess. There you go. See. So best left alone. Moving on. Oil. I'm not going to second guess what's going on there. I've got no idea what's going on. So from what the pattern, the price action, right? Oil. It's been in a half decent sort of sell-off. Oil. It can be quite volatile at times, as always, but it's not really given me of late the setups. When you look at it down onto this 4-hourly picture, and you can see over the last few weeks, it's chopping backwards and forwards, and it's these sort of quite significant retracements in a downward trend that makes it quite difficult to get into a trade and stay into a trade. So I've just not been trading it, as much as it looks sweet at the moment and looks like it could have further downside here. This can, well, as we often see, next bar can change and completely change for the morning. So I'll stand clear of this for now. We'll look at it in the afternoons, but the afternoons have been largely quite difficult to pick. Equity markets, we've got the S&P's up 0.5% this morning. Little gap there below on the shorter time frames. It's got to be somewhere. But it's largely lower highs, lower lows running through this. Wouldn't want to be, there you go, there's the gap. It's not quite been filled yet. It's a mess at the moment, as is many of these equity markets. The FTSE, you look guys looking at this, it did spend most of last week coming off side of Friday, which we saw the bounce, but we'll wait to see on this. It's quite ugly on the 4 hourlies. A break below the weekly pivot puts it back on its back foot again. It's at the moment, the way things are calculated out here, the daily pivot's below us from where it is. It could be a draw. Looking at the price action here, I know there'll be people looking at sort of inverted price action here. There was a divergence which it did trigger and continue moving up there. but nothing for me there at the moment. And then the DAX, this is my favourite shorting trade, but mostly in the afternoons. Although sometimes we get something going in the mornings. It's just looking, it really did sell off last week, didn't it? Are we going to get a gain? Are we going to see something more of this happening? It's just a bit slow at this stage. These equity markets start, particularly if the DAX starts rolling over, I'm quite happy for the short side. For intraday basis is all I've been trading it on at the moment. I'm just looking today. I'd rather it be below its daily pivot here before I start shorting it. So it might be a case of waiting for the afternoon. The pivots, as you can see, are quite pinched today, so I won't take a great deal of notice of those. Right, okay, for those on YouTube, that's where I'll leave you today. I wish you a good day's trading, and we'll see what happens. But as ever of late, it seems that there's more action in the afternoons than there is in the morning. So well worth, if you can't find anything too early, and I wouldn't go in too early either. If you can't find anywhere in that nice period between sort of 8:30 to 9:30, maybe it's a case of waiting for this afternoon. Take care. Catch you later.